In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I have a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Anand Bala, and he's hailing over from Glean. And basically today we're going to be learning what Glean is all about, who they're serving, and how they're powering finance teams to spend intelligently. So let's hear about it. Welcome to the show, Anand.
Thanks, Lucas. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Give us that 360 overview. What is Glean all about?
Yeah, so Glean essentially, it's a tool that was created out of a personal lead by our founder in the finance team. It's built by a finance professional for a finance professional. And, we've all heard, penny saved is a penny earned. And what that means is typically, until today, companies have all the tools that they need to manage their spend, and their revenue. Sales functions have like dashboards, etc., to get real-time information on how revenue is being generated. But that is not the case for the expense side of the house. If a finance leader in an organization needs to figure out, hey, where was a particular spend in, why did spend go up, so on and so forth, they typically don't have the tools that are required. Usually it's a manual project. They have to, they will have to wait for the month close. They collect all the information on where the spend was in spreadsheets, track all that manually, and then they have an opinion. This is where Glean steps in. So Glean is an accounts payable tool, an intelligent accounts payable solution, and for the finance team. So what we do is using AI technologies or machine learning technologies, we are able to ingest information from all the invoices and give accountants and finance professionals real-time information on their spend. So for example, we would be giving the finance team information on, hey, so-and-so vendor just overcharged you, or so-and-so you're paying 20% more than the average customer pays for this vendor. Insights like this. So essentially giving them real-time intelligence so that they can manage the expenses and spend wisely, while at the same time making the process very seamless. The tool is very easy to use. It barely takes any time to set up. It barely takes any time to use.
And what would you say? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
What would you say are the types of roles? Like, what are the personas or the people that are using it? Not just the companies, but which types of roles are coming in? Is it a financial lead? Is it from a C-level? Is it like, who's bringing it in?
The way I see it, there are two personas that we would tackle, within the finance. The two personas that, are an accountant who's in charge of, processing all these expenses, and then also the executives in a particular company. And I'll kind of explain why that's the case. In today's world, first off, all professionals are working remotely, but, they're expected to collaborate more and more through Slack, through emails, etc. And for this particular person who's an accountant who has to pay bills, they have to get a lot of context in order to actually understand why a certain amount of money is being spent on a particular vendor and at what time, so on and so forth. And they need intelligence. These accountants are expected to be more strategic. They're just not bill payers at this point. They have to be more strategic. They have to make a business impact. They have to be able to help the company with lowering their expenses or make wise spending decisions. And at the same time, they need time back to be able to do all that. They have to. They need a tool that they love. They need a tool that can efficiently process, right from setting up vendors to approving invoices to paying them. All this has to be easy and seamless. So that's how we help. We empower these accountants to make a business impact within their organizations. One, they can make sure that the vendors are getting paid on time, etc., and manage the reputation of the company. Second, now they can go back to their finance executives, etc., saying, hey, here are some insights. This is where we could spend money. We are essentially, empowering those accountants to elevate their role and get more strategic, keeping in mind where, what is being expected out of them in 2022. And the second one, the finance executives, all finance executives, everybody is looking for, hey, where can we save money? We need more runway. We need to raise more money, et cetera. These are questions on top of mind all the time, right? They want to be able to save money. They need that visibility. And so that's what we help finance leaders with. We help them optimize their investments so they can grow faster or increase their valuations. And we help them optimize their spend. So we think we are adding a lot of value for both of these the business
Very cool. And how do they learn about Glean? Like, what is sort of the main acquisition channels that you guys leverage at the moment?
So with respect to Glean, we are, we are very much startup. Like, it's only 1.5 years old. So today, everything, all like, the sales that are happening are coming through referrals, friends and family, or through investors, through venture capital firms, et cetera. And that is what we are now growing out of as our next step in our journey.
And what would you say? I know you mentioned already it's outbound and relationship-based sales at the very moment. What role do you see for the website at the moment? And also, where do you see it sort of in the near future? I don't know, mid coming year, end of next year, end of this year. Like, how will it develop, do you think?
The role of the website itself. So in a lot of ways, the website is the door, the entryway into Glean, right? So one, the website is where the customer has to, or the prospects have to come to kind of learn about, hey, is this a pain point that I actually have? And then the solution that these guys are offering, is it actually something that adds value for me? So in a lot of ways, it's us, like, we believe that we have a solution that makes a difference for these professionals. Now we have to be able to actually articulate that. So the website allows us to do that. So, from that standpoint, it allows us to convince prospects and get more. It's our entryway. So we need more people coming in and checking out the website. So one is kind of volume, and the second is we need those people to be engaged on our website so that the desire for our product increases or for our solution increases. So it's kind of a gateway to our overall marketing strategy, and it also helps us in a lot of ways. Track where different buyers are in their journey, right? I mean, based on their actions within a website, whether if they're like looking at a explainer video, so then there's some desire to learn about the product. If they're looking at a case study, then we think, hey, okay, there's some desire. They're like buying into what value we are adding. If they're looking at pricing, then we know, oh wow, so these guys are actually interested in giving us some serious thought. But we have to be able to track all that through our website and a lot of that automation. So we see it as a very key part of taking and being able to understand where a particular prospect is in their buyer journey.
Very cool. I would like to switch gears a little bit and talk with you a little bit about sort of your own habits as a marketing leader. So I'm curious, there's so much content out there on marketing, right? You could read case studies and best practices and blogs all day long about growth marketing. What's your favorite places? Where do you go and read, and how do you filter the content that is out there?
Oh, wow. So, to your point, yeah, marketing is a game where everybody has to be on their toes, constantly learning, right? Everything is changing all the time, whether it's the channels, whether it's a form of content. One, like in my case, I tend to read a lot of books, for example, and then, and off late, then I also subscribe to different groups, whether it's in LinkedIn, like a product marketing group, etc. And now, like what we're finding, especially in these last 2 years, is what I'm finding is there are more and more people, very seasoned, experienced marketers who are willing to share their experiences. They've done things that I'm trying to do now. They've already achieved it through podcasts such as what we're doing now, right? There's more of that happening, and I get that information either through emails, etc. And whatever looks interesting, I tend to kind of follow them. Very cool. Once again, it's like the same marketing thing, right? Like a lot of people are hitting me on my email, etc. But whatever seems appealing based on the messaging, etc., for me to learn. I hate them.
Very good. Very good. Since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview, I want to wrap it up with some rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit better. You ready for those?
All right, let's go.
Awesome. What is the last book you read or the last podcast you listened to?
The last book that I read a book called The Bomber Mafia by Malcolm Gladwell. So it has nothing to do with anything, but it's a book about when World War II, the decisions that went on, in Japan, like why certain decisions were taken to bomb Japan the way it was done, not just a nuclear bomb, but also before that, they were using napalm and stuff like that, and different thinking about different leaders. Like, there were different philosophies. There was one leader who thought like bombing should be very specific and not all purpose destroy everything in sight. Another leader had the opposite perspective. And then this book talks about those different perspectives and, Malcolm Gladwell's take on who he thinks is right, who he thinks is wrong, or maybe so it's a good book. I would recommend it if people are interested in that kind of information.
Very cool. What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
At the moment, I can talk about my perspective coming in from a marketing angle. We are an early company. We are super hyper focused on getting our messaging right. Like, we believe that we have an extremely good solution that accountants will love, adds a lot of value, but that's our belief, right? Now we need to make sure that the accountants or the finance executives are seeing that value. Like, the message needs to be resonating. So it's a complex problem. It's across different personalities. It's across different buyer journeys. And so that's something we are really trying to hone in on. And once we can get that right to a certain degree, then we'll try to amplify that across different channels.
Very cool. And for the very last question, I would like to do a little bit of time travel with you. Let's go back to the days of Texas McCombs School of Business, right? A bit of time travel. So you're heading out of formal education into your world of, you've been in interesting product marketing roles. And I mean, basically channel marketing has been, all the way through your career, an interesting point. What's one advice you would give yourself for your journey? You actually did way more other stuff, which I didn't even cover yet, but what would be your advice for your journey into your career?
It's something like I guess I mentioned earlier, in the sense, in the day and age that we are in, especially in marketing, one has to constantly be learning. And I think the one thing I'm telling myself is, I'm trying to put more coaches around myself, more mentors around myself, talk with people who've done this before me. And I'm finding that they're very willing to talk. And it's just a chat, there's nothing else aside from me trying to learn. And that is really helping me, because on one hand, it helps me understand everything. There's a lot that I don't, or lots and lots that I don't know, but it also incrementally helps me think through, okay, that company's facing the same challenges. Some way it's a good thing. And that company's solving for this particular problem this way. So we also need to be thinking about it. So I think that helps me. I'm putting in a lot of coaches and not trying to solve for everything alone.
Very cool. Anand, I really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathmark Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Glean, what's the one thing they should remember?
We are an intelligent AP solution that accountants and finance executives love.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
Great.